Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dread Captures. I'm excited to bring you this video. It includes 2 viewer submissions that were sent in, which is awesome. The last video in this episode is one of those, and particularly unexplainable. As most of us are aware, trail cameras are becoming increasingly popular. They are now for the everyday person, the nature lover, the animal enthusiast, the protector, and of course, they're still highly used by the hunting and tracking community. Some people even opt for the trail camera as a security measure, because of its ability to be hidden in out-of-the-way places. No matter what the reason, trail cams offer a glimpse into what is going on around us that we might not ever know about. Without further ado, let's get into the trail cam captures. This is a really cool trail cam capture here. As you can see, a little squirrel is just foraging around, minding his own business, when all of a sudden out of nowhere, that guy tries to make him a meal. Unbelievable. I picture the hawk just perched atop his tree and waiting for the absolute right time to strike. I mean, he came in there like a speeding bullet. You can also tell that the squirrel at the last split second must have changed his position or ducked, but somehow got out of the way. A hawk wouldn't have misjudged his attack like that and slammed into the tree if he hadn't been caught off guard. It appears this little squirrel will live to fight another day, while the hawk goes back to the drawing board. This next short clip may help explain that last video and how the squirrel avoided the hawk. Perhaps it's their will to live. Look at how this thing hits the ground. Boom, and he just scurries away. He didn't even hesitate. Let's watch it again. This tree is huge, and this little guy just rides it down, smashing into the earth, and he's gone. I'm amazed he ran away from that. We've seen some videos of feral hogs and boars in the past, and if you know anything about them, you know how dangerous they can be. They've become a big problem here in the United States. They have virtually no predators outside of us humans. In this next video, honestly, I have no idea what this guy's doing. You can see the hog near the brush pile, and as the dog lunges at him, the hog veers off and goes after the man. I mean, have your gun ready for God's sake. The boar knocks the man over, but doesn't pursue him much more. Luckily, the dog distracts the boar and the man is able to get up. A very strange part of this video to me is how easily the man is able to pin that huge hog down. I'd love to hear some ideas from some experienced hog hunters. There's no way that man should have been able to pin that animal. I'm thinking the dog must have been chasing the hog and tired him down. That would explain the ease in which the hog submitted. And I guess also explain why the man didn't have his weapon drawn, even though he still should have. Let me know in the comments what you think about this capture, and if you have any experience hog hunting. The following video depicts a softer, more familial side of wild hogs. Farmers are harvesting their corn in this video when they spot some movement inside a little cluster of corn that is yet to be knocked down. As he approaches, a family of pigs run out, and they narrowly avoid being clipped by the harvester. The hogs are able to flee across the field and into the woods. Cornfields are said to be a favorite of hogs, and when some of the corn is soaked, it emits a distinctive odor that attracts the feral pigs. I bet a close call like this one is probably why some farmers harvest the cornfields from the middle. Plantation workers in the deep forest of Burma, a country in Southeast Asia, had been seeing a strange creature showing up on their property. He would show up at different times, during the morning or around dusk. One day, he wandered onto their property, and what they captured on the next video blew them all away. Here, the creature is crawling over some downed vegetation. It looks like some kind of leopard or panther or big cat-like animal to me. He definitely seems weak as well, like he has no energy or strength. The workers are unsure of what to do with him, but somehow get him into a cage, and he's pissed about it. The claws this creature possesses are incredible. You can see his long, deadly claws wrapped around the metal cage. He even rips at the cage with his mouth. At first, I thought the only formidable thing about this guy was his claws, but then I saw his bite strength as he tore through portions of this metal cage. The creature's frantic efforts to escape the confines of the cage resulted in several broken teeth and bleeding of the mouth. Many natives believe that this is the legendary water monster, a figure from Chinese folklore. Others believe that this is a small sun bear that could have gone bald as a result of the polluted water near his home. However, no one knows for sure what it is or where it originated. But whatever it is, you can tell that it possesses some real power. Let me know in the comments if you know any details about this creature. This next video is amazing and was taken by two friends that were coincidentally going to check their trail cameras. While they were walking on the trail, they noticed what they thought was a dead deer ahead of them. When they got closer, they realized she had been tangled in some old barbed wire. One man begins to cut her loose. Even when she's free, she doesn't move. The man notices her neck is twisted in such a way, but eventually, when she realizes these good men are here to help, she's off. We've all seen the like of werewolves in movies, and know of documented case of dogmen, but I'm not sure any of you have witnessed anything in the wild like this before. I certainly don't believe I have. In the next image captured by the trail cam, we get an excellent look at what can only be described as a wolf-man hybrid, an apex predator, and a terrifying monster that is similar to what was described in an encounter that is known as the Beast of Bray Road. According to legend, the creature was first seen in 1936. Several supposed witnesses claim the beast left extensive scratch marks on their doors and trunks. One witness reported that she collided with something while crossing Bray Road. When she got out of her car to see what she had hit, a big wolf-like thing with red eyes followed her back into her car, leaving claw marks on the rear passenger door. Animal mutilations have also been recorded in the vicinity of Bray Road, with animal corpses, including deer and livestock, half-eaten and specific organs removed from their bodies. To this day, reported sightings continue. Most recently in February of 2018 and July of 2020, in Spring Prairie and Lyons, both in Walworth County, purported witnesses saw a big, hair-covered upright monster. Is it possible that this really is the beast that lives on Bray Road? In this next capture, as the number of incidents in which cattle were slaughtered by an unidentified creature continued to rise, fear began to spread. Residents of this Puerto Rico town thought they might have a Chupacabra on their hands. The Chupacabra has been a legendary creature in parts of the Americas, with its first purported sightings in Puerto Rico in 1995. The name comes from the animal's reported vampirism. The Chupacabra is said to attack and drink the blood of livestock, including goats. As the time went on in Puerto Rico, detectives began looking at the dead bodies of the animals that had been harmed. They all had fang-like holes on the sides of their necks, but they found no evidence that would help them identify the ferocious animal that was responsible for these attacks. There were strange footprints that were found close to the scene of the attack, which led some people to believe that a lone wolf was responsible. However, that didn't seem to be the case. Wolves hunt to eat the meat that their prey provides them. It would be very unlikely for a wolf to leave a meal they had worked hard to kill, and they surely don't have the capabilities to drink it dry of its blood. The investigators were told by some of the eyewitnesses that it was something that resembled an ape, and they began calling it a Chupacabra, due to the fact that it predominantly attacked goats and other farm animals. This case was never solved and the investigation never closed. I'd love to hear your theories about this. What type of animal leaves those fang-like marks? An apple farmer in North Georgia was dumping old, imperfect apples in a spot in his woods. He would occasionally see deer and raccoons, other small critters on his trail cam. One day he even saw a mother black bear and her cubs, and he figured they must have just been passing through. But 10 days later, his trail cam spotted this picture. While bears are of the order Carnivora, they are technically omnivores, and 80% of their diets include plant matter, with only 5% coming from meat. So a pile of apples in the woods is a sure thing for a bear. Anyhow, I'm sure it goes without saying, but he was pretty surprised. From this cam photo, you can count 12 bears. They probably feel like they've died and gone to heaven, with a few bears just sitting on top of the pile of apples. This is a great capture. This next trail cam capture is one of two. This one comes from Jaime in Northern California. Jaime is an avocado farm ranch hand. He said his boss had been setting up trail cameras for two reasons. One, apparently, avocado farming is highly competitive, and they had been experiencing some trespassing and minor vandalism. And two, that one of the dogs on the farm was killed by something, and they all suspected a mountain lion. The owner had been setting up trail cameras all over the property for weeks, hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive mountain lion they suspected was in the area. But one morning when he checked the footage from one of the cameras, he got much more than he bargained for. There on the screen was a strange and unsettling image. A pair of claws and feet with long, sharp nails. He didn't know what to make of it. Like the rest of us, I'm sure, the first thing he noticed was the fur. This was definitely not a mountain lion, but what was it? And to me, the nails looked like something from the Ice Age, prehistoric times. Jamie said his boss took it to his grandfather and was told a story about a creature that lurked through the mountains long before the farm was there, and some of the strange encounters the older man had had while on the property. Reluctantly, he didn't give many details, but nevertheless, no one was able to identify this photo. I'd love to know what you guys think this could be. Our next video captured is that of a hero dog named Henry. Pictured here is Henry, a very persistent 8-year-old Boston Terrier, who unexplainedly kept barging into his human sister's nursery. The video starts as Henry's owner films Henry, asking him if he had gone into his 9-month-old sister's room as he sits behind the couch. "Henry, did you open your sister's door again?" It all started when Henry began acting a little strange. The baby was sleeping, but Henry wouldn't leave her be, something he normally doesn't do. Kelly and her husband explained that every time they shooed Henry out of the baby's room, once they turned their backs, he would go right back in there. Now he was starting to bark and be more persistent. He wouldn't leave her side. Kelly and her husband knew their daughter had a cold, but Henry is the first one that sensed things were taking a turn for the worse. His baby sister wasn't able to clear her airway and was unable to get oxygen, and she had started to turn blue. Once the couple noticed and checked on her, they rushed their baby girl to the ER, where doctors were able to clear her airway and get her back home later that night. The family said that Henry will definitely be getting extra Christmas presents, and he also has a very nice steak dinner in his future. The family says they feel forever indebted to Henry, and they knew he was special, but they didn't know he was also a hero. The next video was the second of the two submissions, this one coming from a man and his family. He requested that I not mention the town he's from or his name, so I'll refer to him as Jeff. The man writes that his family lives about halfway up a section of the Appalachian Mountain Range in eastern Kentucky. Jeff lives with his wife and teenage daughter. He goes on to explain that there's a popular camping site/destination a few miles from his home. The place is popular for tourists, but locals also enjoy spending time there. Jeff said his daughter had recently heard grumblings at her high school about strange things and sightings happening up on the mountain. Jeff thinks it's important to note the dynamic between the kids at the local high school. There are essentially two groups: the kids that live up the mountain, known as the mountain kids, and the kids at the base of the mountain that are closer to the town. whose families are most likely more fortunate and often look down on the mountain kids. Anyhow, the town kids start asking Jeff's daughter about these sightings. They seem really intrigued, but she hadn't heard or seen anything. She figured it was just her classmates trying to make something out of nothing. Most of the town kids often looked at the mountain as a mysterious, creepy place, and the mountain dwellers were all weirdos. She eventually mentioned what the kids were talking about to her dad. He had a good friend at the ranger station, and ironically, the ranger had been hearing about the strange sightings as well. The ranger told Jeff he had set up a few trail cameras and would keep him posted if he found anything unusual. On his way home, Jeff said, "Screw it, I'm going to set my trail cams up too." Jeff's a hunter, so he has some laying around, eventually setting up 3, one at the back of his house and 2 deeper off into the woods that was closer to a popular trail. Every few days he would check them. He'd catch the normal forest stuff, but he started to pick up a pattern, one thing in particular. His dog Moose would not leave the small area behind his house, which was really strange because Moose would sometimes be gone from sunup, well into the night. Moose was a chocolate lab and he loved to explore. The 2 cameras that were farther away from the house proved to be more fruitful, but what he caught on the one close to his house, well, it's enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. This is what he captured. Now, I don't know what this is. At first glance, my mind tells me it's some sort of alien because of the glowing eyes, and even because of the oddly shaped head. The picture is a little blurry, so you can't make out many facial features. But notably, humans don't tend to produce any eye shine like an animal such as a cat or a deer might, so that makes me wonder. Another strange part is that the creature doesn't seem to be wearing any clothes, but its body looks very much like a human's. Especially if you look closely at the legs and arms, you can see small bicep muscle definition and definition in the quads. However, when you get back to the hands, that's where things get sketchy again. The fingers look long and pointed, and the being could only have 4 fingers, you can't tell. I also can't decide whether this creature has crawled out of the woods and was startled by the camera, or he's in an aggressive stance waiting to rip the camera off the tree or even pounce on something. Jeff is at a loss. He's lived in those woods for a long time. He sent it to his park ranger buddy, and he didn't know what it was either. Jeff writes, "In full disclosure, there are some sketchy everyday things that happen in the Appalachian Mountains. We've got unidentified creatures, to methamphetamine labs, to drifters and criminals hiding out on the mountain trails. So capturing odd sightings on camera aren't as crazy as they would be in other parts of the country." Well, this photo is insane. Anyhow, I'd love to know everyone's thoughts on this. Has anyone had a similar sighting or from the areas near the Appalachian Mountains that can confirm? I'd love to know any and all details and to continue the discussion.